This is a video idea that I had for a little under 2 years now, and I figured there's no better time than now to revisit it. I would also like to mention that all the topics in this video have nothing to do with the current drama surrounding Bricks and Minifigs, but instead will be my personal experiences with two of the stories, neither of which is the one related to the drama. Bricks and Minifigs, for those who don't know, is a company that has multiple different stores which buys and sells Legos secondhand. It could be an item that's factory sealed or used, or it could even be an item that's 20 plus years old or even something like 2 years old. Now, I've only been to a Bricks and Minifigs once back in 2024, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but the atmosphere seemed very chill when I was there. The employees seemed very nice and welcoming, and since I'm already talking about it a bit, might as well get into the first topic that I have. The first topic I have are the sets. Now, like I said before, I've only been to a Bricks and Minifigs once, and that's because there are no Bricks and Minifigs in my state. And if so, the closest one in my state is a long ways away. The closest one to me now is about 2 to 3 hours out of state. But I ended up finding out that there's a Bricks and Minifigs in Florida that's about an hour or so away from my family's vacation home down there. And after that, I knew that the next time I was on vacation in Florida, I had to go there. And once again, like I said earlier, it seemed nice and chill when I was there. But now, this is where my very small, yet still existent issues come up. While I was there, I ended up getting 2 Lego sets, more specifically 2 old Indiana Jones sets. The 2008 Lost Tomb and the 2009 Fighter Plane set. Now, let's start off by looking at the price for these sets. Starting off, the fighter plane set, I ended up spending $150 for it used without the box or instructions at Bricks and Minifigs. But if we take a look at Bricklink, for $50 more, I can get it for brand new sealed for $200. And looking at it used complete for just the set, no box or instructions, I can get it for $98 plus whatever shipping is. So basically, I can get it for upwards of, I would say, like $30 cheaper at the cost of having the set that day and also getting to see it before I buy it. This is arguable, but I think it's a fair trade to spend about $30 extra to be able to actually inspect the set in person before buying it and getting to take it home that day. So I would say that this set was a fair deal. Now, the Lost Tomb set, I spent $70 on, same condition as the last one at Bricks and Minifigs. Looking at Bricklink, you can get it for $180 plus shipping brand new. And if you look at it used complete, there's a seller selling it with instructions for $35 plus whatever shipping is. The final cost of this comes out to be about $50, and for about $20 more without physical instructions or extra pieces, I think the $70 price tag at Bricks and Minifigs was not a good deal. Which puts the score at 1-1, meaning that the next and final item that I got from them is the tiebreaker. But before we get to that, there's still some more things about these sets that I have to talk about. Now, these are more of nitpicks than they are problems, but starting off with the fighter plane set, when the employee was taking the set off the shelf, he only took off one plane instead of both of them before having to get corrected by another employee, which is not really that much of a big deal because I get that nobody is an expert on everything, but like, seeing both planes behind the same price tag and using your brain, or even just simply searching it up, you'll see that like both planes are together, so like, I don't know. But that's not all for this set, because I found out later after I bought it that there's supposed to be an inverted slope piece in green, while the one I have is in lime, which isn't really that much of a big deal, because the price tag says that used sets may be missing parts, be partial sets, or have color swapped pieces. And if I'm not mistaken, this piece is very important structural-wise to the build, and also gets covered up so you don't even see it. But here's the crazy part. If you look at Bricklink, you'll see that the lime brick appeared at least once in 50 sets, and the green brick appeared at least once in 108 sets. So either Bricks and Minifigs did this color swap themselves, or the original owner of the set did this before trading in, and Bricks and Minifigs just didn't check at all. But either way, you're telling me that they have a bin of unsorted Legos in the front of the store, but they don't have common piece types and common colors sorted in the back, and instead would rather just sell a set with a color swapped piece when the color of the original piece came in more sets than the piece that they color swapped it with. But that's not all. With the Lost Tomb set, I ended up finding a fake yellow 2x2 plate, which you're telling me they just don't have one lying around since this piece appeared at least once in over 1,000 sets. And a few of either the dark blue or dark red cylinder pieces, which appear in 91 and 94 sets respectively, were replaced with cone pieces of the same color, either being the original cone pieces which appeared in 4 sets for dark blue and 6 sets for dark red, or the cone piece with top groove, which appears in 13 sets for dark blue and 34 sets for dark red, which is significantly less than the number of sets that the cylinder piece of the same color comes in. So it's either this Bricks and Minifigs store just didn't check or just does not care at all. Either way, thinking about these nitpicks are starting to make me rethink my ratings, and in order to keep this a fair and interesting fight, I think it's now time to talk about the next topic. We already talked about the bricks, now it's time to talk about the other half of the name, the minifigs. Now, I didn't end up buying any minifigs while I was at the store in person, but I ended up buying one minifig off another Bricks and Minifigs on Whatnot a couple months later. Which, if this video does well and you want to see me do something like this about Whatnot, I'll gladly revisit that idea and make it into a video. Anyway, I ended up getting the 2005 General Grievous with his cape in very good condition for about $60 plus shipping. And if you look at the used prices on Bricklink, you'll see that the lowest US seller is $90 plus shipping. Now, you might be thinking that that's a slam dunk, no questions asked, but the problem is, I can't tell if his cape is fake or not. I did end up making a YouTube short about this, which if you're interested, you should go check it out. But if the cape is real, then this is definitely a very good deal on it. And if the cape's fake, then it was definitely a big scam. And because of that, until I find out if the cape's real or not, then that means that the final score of this would have to be put on hold. Meaning that as of now, the score is still 1-1. Before I conclude this video with my final thoughts, I've seen a bunch of Bricks and Minifigs videos over the last couple months, especially now, and I'd like to briefly talk about them since I don't have any personal experience with the topics I'm going to mention. You may also notice, if you're paying close attention, that I only mentioned buying and not selling, and that's simply because, like I said earlier, I have no personal experience trying to sell to Bricks and Minifigs. But this does tie into the first thing I want to talk about, which is a video from MGS Brick titled I Exposed Bricks and Minifigs with a $1,000 minifigure. I'll have it linked down below, but basically he goes to 4 different Bricks and Minifig stores with rare and expensive minifigs to see what type of trade-in price they would give him. The catch is that he acts clueless to the minifigs that he has to see if Bricks and Minifigs would try and pull a fast one on him, which unfortunately does actually happen to unknowing people in situations like these. Most of the time, it's older people who aren't in the LEGO space that go to these stores and say something along the lines of, "Oh, this was my son's and I have no idea how much it's worth." And then they end up accepting an offer for $200, which sounds like a good deal to them, but turns out they just sold a 2003 Cloud City complete with box and instructions and minifigs in perfect condition. And then they are none the lesser to how much money they just lost out on. In MGS's video, I'm pretty sure it was his second store he went to, they tried to pull a fast one on him by saying that his 2007 Bane, which is worth about $500 now, was actually the way less valuable 2012 version, which is like $20, if even that. I'm pretty sure he even asked the employee to show him a photo of the less valuable one, and then when you showed him it, he was like, "That's not the right guy," and then the employee was like, "Oh yeah, you're right, oops, my bad." MGS also had a chrome gold C3PO as one of the figures, with most of the stores, if not all of them, saying that it was fake. But with the last one he went to in particular, the employee ended up having it off to the side instead of putting it back in the container with all the rest of the figs that MGS and his friend brought in, which once they realized that, they immediately went back in the store to ask the employee about that, and he did willingly hand it over and apologize, but he also immediately had the nerve to say that it was fake. So it's either the employee knew it was real, and after getting caught trying to keep it for himself, he then tried to make MGS think that the value of it was way lower than it actually was by saying it was fake, or he did actually just forget to put it back with all the other figs. The only one who knows the real answer to that is the employee himself, which I don't think he's going to come forward and say which option's true. MGS also released a video a couple days ago, which you should also check out because I'm not really going to talk about much here, where Bricks and Minifigs responded to the video that he made, as well as a little bit more about the drama with Reckless Ben and Brian Mansell's Lego collection. One last thing I would like to talk about, which I don't really know much about, are the Bricks and Minifigs mystery boxes. I saw a couple of videos on TikTok from this one guy where apparently his Bricks and Minifigs were selling mystery boxes for like $25, and when he would buy one, it would just be like $3 worth of items inside. You could call this a scam, but with most mystery boxes, they're just scams anyway. It's just a scummy way to get money, and if there's at least one takeaway, it's that you should not buy these mystery boxes at all, because they seem to not be worth it. So with all that said, is Bricks and Minifigs a scam? Well, it really depends. If you're selling, then of course you're going to get more money if you sell online on places like eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But then you also have to make the listing and then wait for someone to buy it and then buy all this packing material and pack up the item and then ship it out. But you also have to remember that not everybody has the patience or the time or even the know-how to be able to do that. So selling in person to stores like Bricks and Minifigs at a slight price cost can be more convenient and less stressful to some people. Another thing to consider is that not only do the store owners have to make a profit to be able to afford the store, but they also have to make sure that both them and their employees have enough money to actually be able to afford to live. So that's where some of their prices come from. As for buying, like I mentioned earlier, there are some pros and cons. And even though most of their sets and minifigs might seem overpriced, you're still able to find some good deals sometimes, even if it's a few dollars over market value. And for the mystery boxes, don't touch them with a 10-foot pole.